So I'm just going to walk through, I guess, itemization and whatnot, and we'll just talk about it and things of that nature. See here that you're using 5-piece. It's what I initially, because I don't know, for the longest time I was using 4-piece with more shot shoulders.
Yeah,
And then,
so was I.
that's, I don't know, I guess I automatically fell into the mindset of you don't ever wear 5 tier pieces. You find one off piece. And, lo and behold, it was not really the way that it went this tier. The tier shoulders were much better. I mean, even though they have the expertise, just the huge amount of mastery that they have and the additional socket over the Morchok shoulders was pretty huge. So, let's see. How long have you been using the 5-piece? Is that something you caught up front, or?
Well, I got the shoulders just because nobody else needed them, and so I decided to start running some numbers on them, and I favored them just because of the mastery, like you said, but I ran with the Morchok shoulders for forever just because I figured 3 tank stats was better than the 2, but I was very wrong.
Yeah, definitely fell into that same boat. Okay, so just going through some of the other stuff here. I mean, it looks like your reforging is pretty standard and whatnot. I see that you go with mastery on boots. I know that's something that can easily be justifiable this tier, just because of so many fights with a lack of movement for the most part.
Yeah.
That's I see a lot of people doing that now, so that's pretty good min-max. Looking at your professions, I see that you're engineering and leatherworking. Is there any specific reasons for that, or have you always had it?
Well, leatherworking was, again, because of heroic rag, but I stuck with it just because it's the best profession you can get stat-wise. But engineering, I saw your post on EJ back in Tier 11, and I was really skeptical because I had heard the stories about people who are pulling Alakir, try and get out of the squall line with it, and then you get blasted in the air and wipe the raid. So I was just not even going to do it. But coming to Pandemonium for Dragon Soul, I decided I did want more movement when I needed it, and so I went for it. Maxed it out for the rocket boots, and there's no way I'm ever going to go to another profession ever again.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and I don't know, a big part is the initial right going into, so I was an engineer at the end of Wrath and whatnot, and I mean, things like Lich King with Defile and shit like that, I mean, it was really, I mean, it was almost priceless, or you couldn't really put a value on how important it was, more or less, but then whenever you got the first tier in Kata, because now it's more, I think there's only a couple of instances. I think Throne of the Four Winds is the only one I think you can still get thrown up in the air on, but like pretty much every other instance you can only get a rocket fuel leak. But going into Tier 11, it was you could get a rocket fuel leak anywhere. I mean, you would be inside Bastion. I remember we were doing Ascendant Council progression on PTR and on Beta when I joined Blood Legion here, and I would pop rocket boots during the second phase. And get shot up through the ceiling and pretty much end up wiping the raid. It was really annoying. So you had to be really careful when you used them up front. But then they made that change, and it helped out a ton. So yeah. For anybody that's out there, or go ahead. Sorry.
I also love it for the cardboard assassin for spine. That was one of the most creative ideas I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Did you catch that, or is that something you guys were doing? Did all the engineers?
We got that from you. We already had plans to use army at the end for the taunts, but we didn't think to use those. So for our last day of progression, we all got them, and it worked like a charm.
Oh man, yeah, it's super good. It's that's what I was going to say for anybody in the stream that's watching. I mean, pretty much what he just covered is, it's not just the rocket boots, and for anybody that's like, oh my god, well, what are you going to do about rocket fuel leak? I mean, you can. The odds of it happening are very slim, and if it does happen, I mean, use your AMS. I know it's not, you don't want to be using your AMS on a malfunction of a rocket boot, but the gain is honestly worth it. Worth the risk, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but people don't also need to understand that it's more than just the rocket boots. Like you just said, that things like Cardboard Assassin and, I know the 20k Absorb Shield, I think somebody linked me a malfunction that allowed you to get crit. That's something I just now found out about. I didn't know that. I thought that it would just rooted you to the ground and AoE taunted. I thought that was the only two that could malfunction with the 20k absorb, but being able to get crits pretty bad, so I probably wouldn't recommend using that one, but definitely Cardboard Assassin and Rocket Boots are pretty much any situation. What about leatherworking? Do you find yourself using Drums of Speed very much?
I have for certain fights like Hagara, but that was it.
Okay.
Steer around.
Yeah. What about like heroic rag final phase?
I used it for not final phase, but I used it leading up to it.
Okay.
For things like grabbing both of the large jets and transition 2.
Yeah, the scions or whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean gems. This guy's full epics. He's got it going on. Completely min maxed here. Gonna take a look and good best professions you can have for anybody that's just now catching on to the whole why you get those two. I mean it's just the utility that they bring to the table. I mean you're losing, say comparing to blacksmithing, you're losing 100 mastery. Say if you're counting in those two mastery gems. Well, 100 mastery isn't really going to do shit for you when it compares to the movement gain that you are able to attain by having something like engineering. So that's why it's pretty much, especially as a death knight. As a warrior, you can make an argument that you don't really need it because you've got so many movement abilities as it is between heroic leap, intercept, intervene, charge, and all that stuff. But definitely on a DK or a paladin. So we're gonna take a look at his spec here, and see it's pretty much Lichborn. That's good. He's got the 3 out of 3 epidemic, and we'll touch on that a bit. Like, do you just do the 3 out of 3 epidemic because of the demo overlap, or you just, or what really exactly? I mean, because you see people usually either doing 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3.
It was for one tank fights, just in case I needed to use something else rather than reapply my diseases right away. I wanted to have some, like, just extra space just in case.
Yeah, I definitely, let me see, I'm pretty sure it's in the spec that I'm running right now. I don't want to say it is and it's not, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay, so it's the same one that I've got. Yeah, that's the exact same reasons that I do it as well, because you don't want to, have that demo fall. It's better just to put that one more point in there, in my opinion. And 1 out of 3 Sin of Blood is more than enough for the most part. You don't ever really find yourself runic power starved, even with the new rune system with 4.3. So just taking a look at some of your other glyphs. I mean, pretty much awesome across the board. Do you use VB glyph? I'm assuming these are your Madness glyphs since that was your guys' most recent progression fight, but outside of Madness, or yeah, just give me your overall thoughts on Vamp Blood.
My major glyphs change from fight to fight. I mean, I'll have the glyph in for one fight and off for the next fight. For Madness, it's not glyphed because I need the extra health for the impales, but for Spine, it's definitely glyphed, and for Xanaz, it's glyphed.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty good reasoning there. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty solid spec and itemization all around. It's I don't know, I was really actually surprised. I mean, since I started doing the armory audits and things like that, there's just so many people have a pretty large variation of spec choices for the most part. It's kind of soothing to see someone that's pretty much completely on the same page as what the way that I go. I mean, even down to the engineering, leatherworking, spec, glyphs, weapon enchants, everything. So, yeah.
I'd never change any of that now.
Okay. What about let's talk about trinkets real quick while we're finishing up the armory stuff here. What yeah, how do you change out your trinkets really, and which fights?
Right now, those are the 2 best trinkets I have: Scales of Life, and I have the Mastery one from Firelands, but I just don't have it on right now. But I swap those 2 every once in a while. But I don't have any of the heroic stamp trinkets right now. They just haven't dropped for me. And as far as Stay of Execution goes, I used it a little bit in the beginning of our Madness progression, but what was happening was I'd pop, the 3 basic things. You'd throw up Bone Shield, then IBF and VB, and then if I'd pop the trinket right after that, I'd get impaled, and I wouldn't get the debuff from the trinket, meaning that it didn't absorb anything. So I couldn't figure out why. So then I tried it again, except popping the trinket first and popping the cooldowns after, and then I got the debuff. And when I looked at the numbers, what was actually happening was Stay of Execution was shaving numbers off of the original hit, so it went from 1.2 million to 1.15 million, and then the damage modifiers were added on, so it wasn't worth anything. I mean, like, you should definitely go with a stamina trinket that gives you 13,000 to 14,000 extra health, rather than just having that small percentage shaved off and then modified with the damage reducers. Does that make sense?
Well, I know that it's capped at like 50k, 55k or something.
Yeah.
The Stay of Execution. That's kind of weird. I mean, I really never did use it because I know a lot of people ask me, but pretty much from the get-go on Madness, I realized up front that a DK, I mean, you don't use, or you don't really need any extra help outside of what you get. I was barely. I mean, once you kind of got the cooldowns lined up, you really didn't drop below 50% from any impale. So, but that's interesting to know, because I know a lot of people ask about like their warrior or their paladin and things like that. So, that's really.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you have to pop it before you pop all your cooldowns, or after?
Yeah, so like it would go from 1.2 million to 1.15 because it absorbs the 50k.
Right.
But after that happens, now the impale is 1.15 million, and then like your 50% and 20% are applied to that. So in the end, once you do all the math, it comes out to be less than the like the 14k that you would get extra from a stamina trinket.
Yeah.
So there's no reason not to use it. I mean, I've not tried that combination on my warrior or any of the other tank classes, but I do know on a death knight, it's not worth it in any way at all.
Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, I mean, that's pretty cool. I like definitely learning stuff from other people, and that's something new. If you, I'll probably get with you after the show here, and then just get some of those like actual numbers so I can sit down and look at it. I'm not like a turbo smart math guy. I'd have to like sit down and look at the numbers, but that sounds pretty interesting, and it's definitely something I can apply like if I'm ever on my warrior and things like that, because I'm pretty sure I'll end up using that trinket at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's all the armory stuff and that he had. So what we're going to do at this point is move on to some of his videos and parses and things like that. I've got their public logs here, and I'm going to go through. Which day did you guys kill Madness on?
Here, I got a direct link. Let me link you.
Okay.
That's the kill attempt, I think. Yeah.
I'm going to take a look at that, and then we're going to more. I mean, because Madness is a DK fight to the extreme, and just want to. Okay, you guys got a 14:47 kill time. It's getting pretty close to the enrage.
Yeah.
What did let's see. Just looking. Let's start here. Looking at your or it looks like you guys are Pally DK tanking it. How did you guys work out your cooldown rotations together?
I went with the direction of not using any externals. So all the external cooldowns that could be used for a tank were all given to him. So whatever he did with those, he was able to use, but I didn't need them in any situation at all. I was all personal cooldowns only.
Okay, that's it's pretty much the same way that we do it. So just take us through your impale rotation, because a lot of people always end up asking about that. I'm just curious if there's variance on how DKs do it.
On the first one, what I did was Bone Shield, Vamp Blood, Dream. Second one was Bone Shield, Vamp Blood, IBF. Then the third one was the exact same thing, Bone Shield, IBF, and Vamp Blood. And then the last one, I tanked the last one first, and that was when I did the Dancing Rune Weapon plus Army. But we had to find out a way, because we need an extra raid cooldown for the Bolt, so I had to find a way to replace it, and that's why I'm a Dwarf, to replace Vamp Blood. So I went Dwarf, and I was able to use the 10% and then save the Blood. For when the bolt came out.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm assuming you tank the first impale on the second platform and the second impale on the third platform to give your IBF time to come back up, or you guys have enough time? Okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty much almost. Yeah, I mean, I end up using the Vamp Blood, but we've got multiple DPS warriors, and we have our Feral Druid go Cat, or Cat Druid go Bear, and use his 4-piece during the bolt and things like that. Let's see. So. Well, okay, take us through the last part. Or do you guys ever really get 3 impales on the... Is that still happening, really?
No,
or do you
that
guys,
wasn't a problem. No, we didn't ever have that.
Even on the 4th platform, you guys were able to beat the 3rd impale pretty handily?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So you had pretty much all your cooldowns up in the last phase. When you pick up the terrors, what exactly... do you have any type of, quote-unquote rotation whenever you're tanking any of the terrors, or you just kind of react accordingly?
What we went with was basically one of us had each, and then he died, the other tank died, so I picked up both. And so I got something like 6 or 7 stacks of the debuff, and then I died, but he came right back up and picked him up, so he was fine. And that's how he finished it.
Okay, so, alright, with that said, we've got an idea of what he's going through, how he was going through platforms. We're going to go ahead and, if you guys want to follow along in the parse here, I'm going to just put this link in their chat. Okay, and then we're going to just analyze your cooldowns and things like that, and just so people can see what more or less you just described in actual, visible terms. So we're going to see let's just check the Dream here, because we know he uses that on the first platform, and probably at the end of the fight also. And, yep, there you go. So we know that's the first platform time frame. We're going to check his Bone Shield, because that should be up every time as soon as I find it. Here we go. And also Vent Blood. Where is that? Okay, so here we go with VB. And IBF on every platform but the first. And let's see, anything else that I'm missing? Actually, we could go ahead and do Blood Shield just to see how his Blood Shield is matching up with those cooldowns. And then you also have Army, Stone Form, and Dancing Rune Weapon. As you see, all those line up here for him on his fourth platform. And see, it's a good thing whenever you're a tank, you want to go through things and look at like just how often you're dipping. Let's see where I use my Earthen Armor Potion on the fourth platform. He's using his near the end of the fight, which is fine. Oh, actually, I'm assuming you're okay. You've got your gloves macro to your Vent Blood too. That's good. Another really good thing about him, and you see how often he's using Blood Tap. That's something that a lot of people don't really do as efficiently as they should. I mean, especially if you're a Death Knight, you guys need to make sure that you're using Blood Tap pretty much just like this. I mean, he's got 26 Blood Tap uses over the course of a, sub 15-minute fight, so that's awesome. Let's see how many times his Will Necropolis procced here. Looks like it procced on the first platform, and that's. I'm assuming. I don't know. Did you have Bone Shield up when you pulled? Because I don't see Bone Shield up on the first platform. That's probably why you actually had your Will proc on the first one.
I think what happened is I popped it a couple seconds too early, so he got enough melee attacks to drop it off.
Yeah.
And so I just stacked up his shield really high, and it was okay.
Okay. I wish there was a way to. I mean, without going to the log browser, how many times per fight do you find yourself using a Power Rune weapon on Madness?
Overall, I typically use it when I pick up the ad, and we're switching from the Blood to the Corruption, but I didn't really plan it out very well for this fight at all, except for, of course, the Army pop.
Right. Yeah, it's almost a prerequisite for Army just because of Army's rune demands. But yeah, I mean, this looks pretty solid. I mean, like you said, you already know that you could have had the Bone Shield on the first platform, saved that Will from proccing, and then near the end, I mean, it's going to happen in the last phase with how often that. Actually, let me just look at your AMS usage in that last phase. That's okay. So you're using that. When did you die?
Let me look. I should have it up. 1859-55.
Okay, so I guess that's right in here where my mouse pointer is. So let's see. One thing I would, looking at this is just completely nitpicking, and by no means am I doing it perfect every week either. I try and make sure that every time that you taunt the Mutated Corruption off of the other tank, you want to kind of pop Dance Your Rune Weapon, and then. Because, I mean, you can use it on every platform. And I'm saying that based off of, you could have had it up, or, when you pick it up on the first platform. And, I don't know, it just eases the transition a bit more. You're not, taunting it. I mean, you're taunting it with 20% extra avoidance. So,
yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, that would, but, I mean, it looks like you're doing that here on, we can actually just look at your taunts and see how it's going. See, where's the Dance Your Rune Weapon? Here. Okay, yeah, so you taunt the Mutated Corruption, pop Dance Your Rune Weapon there. Taunted it, popped it there, and then, so, let's see. Yeah, just the first two platforms were missed out, but you got it on the second two, so that's good. When were you guys using Lust?
I don't even know. I want to say platform 4.
Okay. That is good stuff. Yeah, I mean, this is really solid cooldown use. I mean, by far and above, the most impressive thing is just how many, blood taps that you fit in. That's
I
awesome.
can't imagine not talenting into that. I mean, I've seen people who go for the optimal damage specs and things like that for when they're done with the tiers, and I still can't imagine it. I need it when I'm about to die.
Yeah.
I mean, you need it.
We'll see. What's the cooldown on stone form? I mean, being horde, I don't really have that option, so it's kind of a new deal to me. It's changed since I was Alliance as well. It didn't used to be the 10%.
I want to say 2 minutes, but don't quote me on it, because I mean, I only really needed it for that last platform, and I haven't really looked into it other than that.
Right. Yeah. So that's something you could even throw on with each one of the impales. Pretty much. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. 10%. Wow.
Yeah.
Alliance OP racials, man. I've got like 2k HP on my Tarn. That's about it. That's we don't have that many baller tanking racials on the horde side. We got some pretty good DPS racials though, with troll and orc and whatnot, and goblin.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, pretty solid cooldown usage, man. Let's take a look at. So let's transition here. I'm actually really curious to get into this heroic rag vid. So I'm going to toss this link into chat, and we're going to go along with this together. I've already got it buffered out at 1080p, so I'm going to make this full screen. You guys let me know if it's lagging or choppy or anything, and I'll adjust it. Let's see.
Sure. And the other thing was, I was the 4th Death Knight in the world to get that done. I had been beaten by a Death Knight and his alt, who was also a Death Knight, and some other guild somewhere in Europe. So I was pretty proud.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, it really is, man. That's impressive. So like I said, I just started it more or less, you know, I think 2 weeks ago was when I solo tanked it for the first time. I was like, man, you know, we should have done this before. This is so much more fun. I mean, because it was the challenge kind of devolved from two tanking it really quick, you know, as you got gear and things like that. So I mean, I can only imagine.
Optimization went out the window. I mean, after 4.3 came out, I mean, like, I walked in, I didn't even have to care. I mean, there's just no comparison to what it's like now than what it was before. I mean, it's still so much fun, though. I mean, if you ever have a chance, you need to do it.
Okay, so let's just take a look at your UI here. You've got pretty much all of your abilities laid out here. As a comparison, because I have a really horrible memory when it comes to some things, I'm just going to get one of my UIs up so I can compare the binds and whatnot. One sec.
For the most part, everything there is pretty much the exact same, just small differences.
Okay. Let's see. We've got IBF, Vamp Blood, MS. Do you have your... I'm guessing this is Dancing Rune Weapon here above your Rune Strike?
No, that's Blood Shield. That was a backup because I had the Blood Shield tracker one time fail on me, and so I've never turned off that power aura.
No. This is a button on your bar.
Yeah, that's Dancing Rune Weapon.
Okay, and then, let's see. Got most of your CDs here, looks like. Got pretty good visibility. I know that DK that had his video in here yesterday, it had like a lot of fluff to it, and it was kind of hard for him to see what's going on. So, let's see, where are your runes? Okay, right here in the middle. And you got your buffs over here on the right. Okay, so pretty good UI setup. Go ahead and play this and just kind of see what's going on.
Here at the beginning, our warrior pulled threat. I taunted back, and then he pulled threat again, and he had the parry talent that saved his life.
Oh, the die by the sword or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, when we started this, we were like, there's no way this is going to be our kill attempt, and it came through.
Okay, so, wait, which one is your blood shield aura that lets you know when you have your blood shield up?
The one to the top left of my character.
Oh, the little, half sideways cross thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's just see how okay, so your blood shield falls. The AMS to trap, that's good. Where your okay, so your CDs are on the actual buttons, letting you know how long they have left. Okay, so like as you're going through phase 1 here, what or is this your omen right above your character HP?
Yep.
Okay. Are you using your Tolbrad trinket when you were doing this fight?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then how did you handle phase 1? Because I noticed when I was doing it, that's more or less where it's going to be you're going to have the highest amount of stacks, pretty much, is in phase 1 for the most part.
Um, it gets pretty specific. The way it works is there are a couple of key points in the fight where when you're solo tanking you can drop your stacks, and it's pure chance on that happening. So the TB trinket is really, in the first phase, just used for the traps and for if you get a high amount of stacks. But throughout the fight, it's going to be used to drop stacks or to increase your chance of dropping the stacks.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that pretty much the main point was, I mean, you had a pretty decent chance as long as it wasn't refreshed directly before a dance that it would fall during a dance, and then during the last phase when he's in the roots, you can reset it pretty easily there. But outside of that, it just pretty much like the intermissions or something. Let's see. Are you assigned to a death grip here on one of these ads, or you just
No.
like a backup emergency?
Yeah, we had the boomkin, so I was just there for damage.
Cool stuff. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get over here to this phase and watch how he deals with solo taking this encounter during phase 2. You guys warlocks standing out of the group there.
Yep.
Or do you guys bop him or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you, let's see. Are you TB trinketing or AMSing the explosion?
No, not for that. I'm saving my AMS for the trap, and I'm saving my TB trinket for the consuming flames here in a second. Because right after the consuming flames are over is one of the points where you can drop stacks.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I see what you're saying. You use your TB trinket to make sure that the stacks drop for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's more than 13 seconds, you can't do it. If there's less than 13, I think it was 13, you can drop it.
Yeah, because I know he does the hammer coming out of this stance here, and that takes another like 4 or 5 seconds out of it. So I see you got 2 seconds before you take the first melee, and then you got refreshed there. That's so you're using Elixir of the Master and Prismatic. So
of course, yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's just for the high magic damage that you were taking.
Yeah, and again, I mean things like spell shattering and that were just because the melee damage was still twice as much as the magic damage, but magic damage just came so more consistently when your stacks got higher.
Yeah.
And the damage reduction from spell shattering outpassed the one from Stunting Gargoyle just because of how high it was hitting. It was hitting somewhere like 60 to 80k at times during pre-nerf.
What let's see, the estimated heal add-on that you have here, is that pretty accurate, or is that something I don't really use that one, but it looks pretty cool.
It's very accurate. It looks a lot different now. They really changed it, but yeah, I use it all the time.
Okay.
It's perfect.
And so you drop a D&D there to pick up the Scion on that side. Do you have a rogue tricks you as well, or?
Nope. The D&D is plenty.
Oh wow. Yeah, I definitely could see problems in our guild with doing that. I would definitely not be able to rely on that D&D. It's pretty disciplined DPS to not. That thing would be full of dots and probably a few nukes.
You gotta trust your DPS.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. And then let's see here if they so you guys have left a sun up. Okay, there it is in the lava there. That way you finish those, kill the sun, transition. Pretty clean. And then probably heroism coming up soon, I would assume.
No. When we switched to the one tank, it was originally because we were 3% away from the 3% in to the second meteor. When we switched over, we were way too far above, so we were able to save heroism for part 4.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're listening during the last phase here. Were you getting knockbacks on the meteor when it was coming by you here?
One came at me, and our paladin did it for me. He's standing right there next to me.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty strong with the death grip glyph. It's pretty, you just spam the shit almost.
Oh, really? I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, death grip. We had our other DK do that. He put it in the back of the room.
Yeah, that's we usually have our DPS DPK get it on the left, and then I get it on the right. I mean, you can target it and literally just spam death grip it, just chain resets until the knockback happens. So it's pretty good for that. Okay, that's pretty awesome. We're gonna get up through here, and I'm curious how you deal with, because the main thing about the second tank on here is, like, say the roots landed directly underneath him, it's kind of impossible for one tank to pull him out quick enough. So the way we would always do it during progression is you have the tank that's not tanking run outside of the breath, and if the roots are underneath him, that tank taunts him because he can move a lot quicker that way than he does like if you're trying to pull him out.
Yeah.
How did you really deal with getting roots? What was your fallback plan? Because I know you guys don't even have a priest in here for a grip or anything.
Well, we had our Resto Druid, so we actually one-healed this last phase. Our Resto Druid is being the firefighter right here with the cat.
Okay.
And if the roots spawn like that, I can just move it out, obviously. But if it spawns like directly underneath him and I just have no time, he'll go bear form and taunt.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, that's a good. I see he taunted for the empower here.
Our warrior does it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, for leap.
Oh, got it. Awesome. So yeah, that's a pretty good way to circumvent not having the second tank. Just have the druid and whatnot do it, or the warrior. That's pretty good thinking. So yeah, I mean that's this guy probably melts with one tank and lust in the last phase.
Yeah, completely. Especially since we had one of our healers doing firefighter also. So I mean, we had plenty of DPS.
How many healers did you guys have?
2.
Oh, you guys had 2 healers, and the one was doing deluge.
Yeah, one of the paladins. Right, we had one paladin tanking this entire section right here.
Yeah, I guess that's I don't know, that's pretty awesome because it's a little bit easier now that you can just stack in the breath and whatnot, but yeah, it's still pretty cool. Solo heal, solo tank, basically the last phase. Awesome, that's good stuff, man. That's and again, this is right after 4.3 was released, like the week of. Okay, cool. Cool beans. Do you by any chance have a parse for that pull? No?
There should be one right there in the description. There's
Okay.
one for the kill, and then there's one for a 1% wipe before 4.3 came out.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, here the report expired for your guys' kill.
Okay, well then yeah, I don't have one.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna take a look at them, but no big deal. That's still a pretty awesome video. So. Yeah, without a parse, I mean, I was going to break down the cooldown stuff for the stream and whatnot, but either way, that's pretty awesome. Are you guys, well, now that you're, I guess, done with Madness, I mean, what are you guys really doing right now?
We're thinking about starting up sale runs, trying to organize that. We're just kind of enjoying ourselves right now, because since the beginning of Cataclysm, when there was a 2-week break, Pandemonium hasn't had a break. I just recently joined, but they haven't had a break since then. They've just been raiding every single week.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of chilling now. They're really happy.
Yeah, that's good, man. So how is, do you actively maintain your warrior still, or just pretty much a DK only?
No, I just got him to 85, and I'm thinking about moving him over to Windrunner right now, so I can help with, multiple rag groups and things like that.
Yeah, it's definitely, keep sharp and things like that outside of the 1 or 2 night raid weeks that you guys have going on. Let's see, looking at... Okay, so we went over Armory, went over some of the Madness parses that you gave us, and then watched that rag video. I guess, is there any other fights that you would have questions about in Dragon Soul, or any other parses that you would want to go over, anything like that?
Not really. I had questions about Madness, but, I mean, we killed it, so I don't really have any anymore.
Cool. I mean, what questions did you have, or just about, like, the impales or something?
General.
What's that?
It was about cooldowns, but just in general, some small questions that I had for you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
When you're doing like PTR rating and things like that, like you're approaching a fight for the first time ever, no one else has given you any input on it. I mean, no one has ever done this fight before. What do you and Absalom do? Like, how do you plan things?
Yeah, I mean, it's just we've been taking together over a year now, and it's a pretty good working relationship. I mean, I don't know, the good thing about Blood Legion is almost everybody involved has been either a raid leader or someone in a position of decision making at some point. So anytime we go into a fight at all, a lot of collective people. And the reason I say that is because it's not like just me and Abs coming up with tanking ideas. A lot of times it's even other people in the guild that throw stuff out there. So I mean, it's like a community effort whenever we're in PTR and things like that. Everybody's just like, well, this is how this is working. We should try this. We should try that. So, I mean, more or less, we just take all the ideas that people are throwing out there. And I mean, he's been tanking forever, and you know, I've been since pretty much the end of vanilla when I was tanking on my druid. So I mean, it's just take Madness for example. It took us, I'd say, 10 pulls or so to get our cooldown rotation perfect, because initially we just didn't know how much the Impale was going to hit for. So, you know, we pull it, and I'm like, well, I will IBF this, and I'll be fine. And I IBF'd it and got just, you know, punched in the nuts, and I'm dead. And I'm like, what? Whoa, you know, because it's like that. Like I said during during progression, I said it's the first time in my life I've ever popped like shield wall and still felt vulnerable, you know. So, we took after we saw that happen and whatnot, we were like, okay, we basically just figured out how much damage we needed to be reducing, and then once we figured that out, I had this in here yesterday. It's our Impale CD tab that I'll just toss you a link here, and then spreadsheets, man, spreadsheets. That's it's a really big part, and just toss you that, and you can take a look at it. It's Abs started the spreadsheet, and then we just added to it as needed, and just made sure everything is planned out, because you don't ever want to just be going into stuff and being like, you know, winging it all the time, because like I said, you want to have that consistency. So I mean, this fight in specific, it was pretty easy. We just made the spreadsheet and then followed it, and then outside of that, like say a fight like I'm thinking of another good one. Really any, to be honest. I mean, you got things like Ultraxian or Your Sage. That was a really good one. I mean, we got the first kill on that, and that was a fight we just got a lot of PTR testing in on, and it was, you just get the timing. The biggest thing, I guess, when you're going into a new fight is getting timings. You need to find out, like, when the raid damage is coming. And a fight like, take Your Sage, for example, you know the slimes are going to be coming out, like, once a minute, you know. So you've got every 1 minute cooldown up. We know that his D-Sack with 4 pieces every other one. So we had his D-Sack for every other slime wave. We have my Vamp Blood for every slime wave. And, I mean, it's just like putting a puzzle together. So, I mean, you just get, you and your other tank get together and work out all the timings for any fight. Spine was another big one. You got to look at when we're taking raid damage and then fix cooldowns accordingly. So you've got like an Amalg blowing up twice a plate, or so, at the initial it was 3 times a plate, and we were desacking the first and third, and you always barrier the second, and you Vamp Blood every single one, and I mean, it's just working cooldowns in and out. It's the biggest thing is just getting the timings down. So if you're get your other tank, I noticed there was a pally from those logs. Just get him, and you guys get really intimate with Google Docs, man, because that's pretty much any fight that we get into that's of any difficulty whatsoever. You end up having 4 or 5 spreadsheets for not only tanking but DPSing and healing as well.
Okay. How do you increase energy with your healers? I mean, whether that be just healing in general or UI, like what do you do?
That's a very, I forgot a good word for it. I guess it depends on which healers. Some healers I work better with than others, and some healers it's not really such a good working relationship with. The biggest thing, it depends on the person. Me personally, I get mad if they end up, causing me to die or something like that, and then we'll end up, trying to talk it out the best that we can. And I don't know, it just depends on the type of mistake. If it's just somebody blatantly missing a cooldown, like, why didn't I get a PS? What are you doing? Why, you're supposed to PS me for that? What's going on? Like, that's just, at the end of the day, you have to make it work together, and it kind of comes down to they have to want to they have to want it as bad as you want it. So you both have to have the same degree of, you know, hunger or whatever you really want to label it for, you know, getting the kill and things like that. And as long as that happens, it's not really that big of a problem because you're playing with other talented people and you're just like, hey, this needs to happen. And I guess like the biggest thing I would say would be stuff that's more on the fly, like, you know, not planned CDs. That's kind of where a lot more of the synergy comes into play, in my opinion, because that's stuff that's less structured, but it's just as important because you're going to have, you need your healers to be like, hey man, I need to pop, I need to pop a sleeping potion. You know, just being able to communicate and things like that. You'll know that your healing intake is going to be changing within the next little bit. Like, okay, I know he's going to pop his concentration potion, so he's going to be out of the mix for, you know, the next, like, a few melee hits. So, I mean, you just got to promote them to communicate. And you don't want to get it overly communicative where it's just like they're calling out everything like, I'm casting this on you now. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to get to that. But, like, if they ever have to move, say like you're a healer, you're tanking, let's say I have a good example here. Say on Heroic Rag, this is a perfect example. Say you're solo tanking Heroic Rag. Say your Paladin gets targeted with the Meteor, and for whatever reason, he has to kite it away and he's going to be moving. You know, like, if he didn't say anything, that's your only healer because your Druid's doing Deluge. So you're going to be kind of like blindsided if you're just dropping. You're like, oh, what's going on? But instead, he's like, you know, hey Peekochu, pop something. I got to bounce. You know, he's got to run the Meteor out and then come back in. So you know that's happening. You can do things like get your pet out, or say you're not a DK, you can do things like pop shield block, give them a buffer. You know, I mean, it's all about healers being able to communicate when and what they're doing, and you know, balancing, and then you using that in your like ever-changing cooldown model that you have for whatever tanking class that you're playing. So, yeah, that's probably the best answer I can give you for that.
Okay, thanks. That's awesome. For a UI as a tank, what are the most important elements in your opinion?
It just comes down to information that you're able to look at. I'm trying to let me just get a picture of my UI up, and then I can just look at some of these as I'm going along with it. I got so many screenshots, it takes forever to load. I've got like 10 gigs of WoW screenshots. Don't ask me why. I just do. It's lots and lots.
So I've noticed some really awesome things on your UI, like the absorb tracker towards the center. Yeah, and that's awesome.
Okay, here we go. Here is a pretty up-to-date version of my UI. I think I took this one last night. Let's see if I've got one of being in combat. Okay, here's one of being in combat on Hagara. This is from last night. I don't know, a big thing I would say is just constantly, I mean, even just screenshot UI randomly during raid combat, and then after the end of a raid week or whatever, just go back and look at it and be like, man, what do I need to change? Because, you know, I could go back through my other old screenshots and you just see, like, the evolution of my UI from, like, it was 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm sure 2 or 3 years from now it's going to look totally different than it does. But, I mean, totally different in a different way. I mean, everything's kind of placed the same. I've always had my character model, or character frame and target frame right down here, and then my buttons underneath it. But everything just has scaled down over the years, because used to I would have, you know, my buff bar was like taking up, you know, 30% more room. My scrolling combat text was like twice the size. I mean, it's just condensing everything to get the most amount of view area, if you will, from seeing what's going on. Because a lot of what's happening as a tank is just being able to see what's going on, and even if it's not anything important, it's just being able to see it, and it gives you a better feel for everything instead of it being blocked by other, you know, add-ons and things like that. I'd say the most important thing about my UI, aside from my rune mod, like if I had to pick one add-on that I couldn't be without, it would be my rune mod. And I have to have the bars. I couldn't, and it's not a knock against anybody else's rune mod. I noticed you have the 3 little 2 lines of 3 runes, and then just go off that, and that's, you know, that's completely fine. Some people are, I guess it's just, I mean, I would probably be able to deal with it if I play with it long enough, but I've played with this one since basically getting my Death Knight, and you know, I just have the bars, and as they collapse, you know, that lets me know when the runes are coming up and things like that. So my biggest piece of advice, though, would just be the power auras. I'll zoom in on them here, and just having power auras set up for pretty much everything that you need to monitor. And this is like your little information hub. And that's, I mean, I know when I have Ancestral Healing or Ancestral Vigor on me, I know how long it's got left. I know the amount of HP gain that I have from that. I know if I have Stone Skin or Devo up, and that's really huge. I know if I have basically anything that helps you from a defensive standpoint. Horn of Winter, Battle Shout, it's giving me more parry. I know if I have a Beacon on me. This spot right here is for not Earth Shield. This spot right here is for my personal cooldowns. So like if I popped AMS or something, a little AMS icon would come up right here where my mouse is. And then over here is my Earth Shield, and then right underneath is my Blood Shield. It just lets me know if I have a Blood Shield up. And if I want to know how much is on my Blood Shield, I can look down here and then look at the amount absorbed that I've got active at the moment. So, yeah, that's another big thing. Make sure you have your debuffs closer to the middle of your screen. I see a lot of people that still play and they have debuffs like over here on the right or like up here or something. You don't really want to do that, especially as a tank or any type of progression raider, because when you're doing a lot of these fights, you don't have add-ons. It's telling you like, hey, move out of this, hey, move out of that. You know, you're going to have to be watching your debuffs. And I'm telling you, if you're having to take the time, and a lot of people don't think that it's a big deal, but if you're having to take the time to shift your focus away from this main area of your screen, which is where your character is, which is where all your shit's going on, right in here, if you have to go look all the way up here, even if it's just a split-second glance, that can be the difference between you living or dying a lot of the times. So,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I would just get everything as centralized as you can with as much information as you can. And then I have this little shield here that's Ancestral Fortitude, Inspiration, and then there's a little circle that lets me know when Demo shouts up. So, yeah, that's pretty much it from a UI standpoint. I don't have, I know a lot of people have like all kind of other crazy shit. I just have boss timers, and that's pretty much the only, you know, other out. I see people have like raid DPS graphs going. Like, you don't need to know that shit.
And what was the requirement to get you to release UI? 1,000 viewers?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I put a lot of work into it. I know a lot of people want it or asking for it or whatnot. Yeah, that's what I was going with up front is like 1,000, but we may be able to compromise at some point. But yeah, that's what we're going with for right now.
Okay, believe me, I'll be first in line. One more thing.
Okay.
I know when you came back from the Marines, I mean, you obviously weren't where you are now. What did you do to get to where you are?
You mean like WoW rating wise?
I mean, yeah, I mean.
Okay. Well, I mean, coming out of the Marine Corps, I was still a GM of my initial guild and tried to keep getting it better and better, you know, and I had the dream of and, you know, commitment of building that guild into a top guild, and it's something that's just so hard to do, building something from scratch, because it's just constantly fighting an uphill battle, and you just always end up having almost any legitimate player that sees, and it's a really hard way to deal with it, because if you're in a guild that's pushing that attitude to be the best and be the best, is a lot of people that you come across playing WoW is once they buy into that attitude and then they realize that, you know, there's other people in the guild that are holding them back from that, it's easy for them to move on and use that guild as a stepping stone, and that's kind of the problem that my old guild had. So I don't know, I stuck it out with that guild for a long time, and ended up going to Forlorn Legacy from there, and that's kind of when I got really hooked on, you know, upper tier rating, because I mean, in my first guild it was like US top 25, top 50 US was like the goal, and we thought that was really accomplished. And you know, then you get to Forlorn Legacy and you're kind of competing a little bit on the, you know, the world top 25 scale, somewhere in there, and then it's just like I don't know, it was just constantly weighing what I wanted, but without jumping ship, you know, just really quick. I mean, I was always committed to whatever guild that I went to, but it was you know, between my guild, the Forlorn Legacy, to Blood Legion, ultimately it was just, I just had the desire to want to play with 24 other people that had the same goals and ambitions that I did, and it's just a really hard thing to find. And you know, that's, you know, and I'm not trying to encourage anybody to be like, oh, well, my guild doesn't want it as bad as I do. Bounce, you know. I mean, do what you can to help your guild out and help them, but I mean, it just comes to a point where it's like you can only lead a horse to water. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the old saying, you can't make him drink, you know. So I mean, it's like, you know, do your part, and if it ever comes to the point where you feel like you're wasting your time, that's kind of when you should probably draw the line. But yeah, I mean, the friends and people that I've met along the way are pretty like memorable, so I don't regret any of it.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I really had on my end. Anything else?
No, man. I mean, this was really, really good. I can't wait to put this one on YouTube. This is
Yeah.
a pretty informative session and whatnot. Like I said, everybody knows. Try to keep them around an hour, and that's about exactly where we're at. So that's pretty cool. And you've got me on Skype now, so if you have any questions or anything that pops up, tanking or WoW or anything related that you need to ask me, man, just don't hesitate to, send me a tell or whatever on Skype. And all in all, I appreciate you, taking the time and hopping on here and
Yeah.
doing the show with us.
Yeah, thanks. Had a ton of fun.
Okay, man, good stuff. And I'll catch you around then.
See ya.
Later. Okay, so that is that. That was Peekochu from Windrunner for the guys in the stream. So it is, like I said, it's really awesome that we got him on here, and he's a pretty solid tank, as you guys can see, pretty much all around, from his cooldown usage to his itemization to his video. I mean, everything about that guy. It's he's solid across the board for the most part. So thanks again to him for hopping on here. And I see we've been around 300 or more people for quite a while now on the stream. That's pretty awesome. It's something that I hope we're able to keep building on. So if you guys are new here, this is a weekly deal. Each day is something different. Monday is the raid heroic raid boss walkthrough. Tuesday is raid leader discussion. Wednesday is tank Q&A. Thursday is a tank talk one-on-one, and Friday is special guest stuff. So tomorrow, if you play a mage, you need to be here because Ataxis, one of our mages in Blood Legion, is going to be on here. He's our special guest tomorrow. He's going to be going over everything mage related, from armories to parses to UIs to videos, you name it. He's been playing the game for a while. I think he's got he's one of the characters with the most achievement points in the world. Just to let you guys know how big of a wild nut this guy is. He's an awesome guy. He's a good friend of mine. So you guys make sure you're here tomorrow for that. A couple things about other stuff. Again, if you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, or I'm sorry, the follow button on my stream channel, and then the social links below. You guys can help me out that way as well. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you guys have any questions for me that are tanking related, WoW related, military related, whatever, man, you guys can don't ever hesitate to follow me on Twitter and put your question on Twitter. I go through there every day or so and answer any question that you guys send to me, as long as it's not retarded. Okay, so again, thanks to Peekochu, and I want to give a quick shout out to all my friends back on Windrunner. I actually have quite a few people that I still know there, and yeah, definitely awesome to hear from you guys. So you guys are still doing work over there. So hopefully you guys keep it up, and we keep in touch. So tell MacX I said hello, and Galetta and all those guys, Aurelius. I'm not sure if he's still around and whatnot. So yeah, good to talk to you guys again. Don't go anywhere. In less than an hour, we've got raids coming up. We've got the sales raids, 25 10-man heroics and things like that. So make sure you guys stick around. I'm going to go ahead and chill a bit before the raid, get my focus on, and go talk to the guild about some stuff. So the stream will be muted for a sec, but it's going to be starting back up. I'll leave it running. Probably run a couple commercials because I haven't given you guys any throughout the duration of this show. So yeah, make sure you stick around tonight for the raids and all that stuff, and follow the channel if you haven't. Awesome time. Thanks for watching, and yeah, you guys are awesome.